Everything here looks ordinary, but in this spot, the city does something it pays for, year after year. And it isn't a single disaster. It's the quiet rules that work every day, without mercy.
Dublin, 1838. Life is measured less by clocks than by access. Access to work, to food, to shelter, to a fair hearing. That access is controlled by mechanisms you can touch. Port fees, licenses, fines, permits, and the signatures that make them real. They hold the city together and squeeze it.
Right here, the city speaks more plainly than any speech, through bargains, debts, and small concessions. When people line up for a chance, not for comfort, you see who is allowed a mistake and who is never forgiven. One breath of smoke is enough to understand this. Safety is something that gets traded.
From the outside, Dublin seems steady. Busy quays, full shops, a city improving. But the papers tell a harsher story. The rules tighten where the poor live closest. What looks like order is often an instruction of control. Who may sell, where a family may sleep, what counts as nuisance, and what earns punishment. And the price of that order is not abstract. Here a person can become guilty simply by standing in the wrong place, at the wrong hour, with the wrong paper missing.
See this spot, the customs post by the river? It's not decoration. It's a choke point that cuts people off. When this point tightens, the city doesn't stop. It just looks for a way around, and someone always gets burned.
People whisper that some loads weigh less on paper, and certain men go unnoticed at inspection points. No proof, still repeated. The story sticks because it names fear. When rules stay cloudy, a city invents reasons it can grasp, then repeats them aloud. At the market, the city looks honest. Weight, price, haggling. Yet you see who can stockpile for winter and who buys by crumbs. Queues aren't only for bread, they're for permission. Stall space, day work, the right to stand here and not be driven off. In workshops, the day bites fingers and spine. People work fast because one slow hour becomes a debt that follows them home. At home, the math changes. Tight rooms, thin light, every penny stretched. Under that pressure, whispers harden into news overnight.
One turn, and it's a different city. There, they buy time. Here, they give it away.
Between these two cities move broker hands. They know back doors and timing, and they sell access the way others sell bread. Strange now? The docks show shortage, the market jumps, the yard shows debt. The same chain repeats as if tuned by a hidden hand. When the lawful path tightens, a back way appears, and every back way has a name, unwritten but spoken in half whispers. The question isn't that people break rules. The question is who turns breaking them into routine and calls it order in daylight. Dublin's morning starts with motion, river, wheels, bootsteps. The city still feels quiet, yet it already keeps count before dawn. Here morning isn't peace. It's whether you find work, afford food, or secure a bed before the day's doors close on you for weeks. One street looks respectable, the next already presses in. Same Dublin, same hour, two climates of living, back to back, within steps.
This crossing is like an artery. You can watch money, food, and news move from bank to bank. But step off to the side, and Dublin changes its tone. Like someone turned the lights down and tightened the air.
The city runs on hands. A docker hauls more than cargo. He hauls a day that may end unpaid, and a family that waits in silence, watching. A baker works before light. People see bread, not the cost. Heat, burns, and the race to finish before hunger turns ugly in the lanes. A cobbler stitches worn soles so his own household keeps moving. Small labor holds heavy lives, quiet, daily, by lamplight, in back rooms. The worst danger isn't hard work. It's when work vanishes. Then rules shift without warning and bare need becomes a crime overnight.
This is the face the city sells. It says, order, comfort, and the right way to live. One passage, one courtyard, and the same stone hides a different ledger of life, written in rent, breath, and shared stairs.
Housing is not just shelter, it's bargaining. How many bodies in a room, how much air remains, how far coins can stretch and still return. Sometimes decent and survive are separated by one floor, one key, one agreement with a landlord who never forgets faces or arrears. Water is not background here, it's a root. Whoever stands closer to the source carries less burden, and sometimes lives longer by seasons. Daily life is held by small tasks: fetch, wash, save. Each task costs time, and time is what the poor can't store at all, not once. At the market you see the nerves, goods sold in slivers, coins counted twice, meals planned just to last until tomorrow, then again. A crowd forms in seconds, a shout, a quarrel, a rumor, and calm tightens into crush, with children pressed to cold stone walls, silent.
What is hardest here each day? Inside the work itself, when nobody is watching you struggle?
Not the wait. It's not knowing if there's a load tomorrow. Without it, you're owing by noon and the rent still comes.
Today you're wanted. Tomorrow you stand and wait, and they pass you over as if you never existed, like a shadow on the quay. What do people whisper about lately when the foreman turns away? And what do they fear most?
They say there's a mark. If you spot it on a crate, you step back. I don't know if it's true, but men obey it.
When you have no savings, you'll believe anything that explains why luck turns against you today, and why your name isn't called. How is the city changing right now? What feels tighter, more guarded, harder to cross?
The worst isn't thieves. It's how fast you become nobody. One missed day, and doors close everywhere, even friendly ones.
At night, the city seeks a valve. It doesn't celebrate. It loosens its grip, because tomorrow can arrive colder and meaner than today. In such rooms, news can run truer than signboards. Who blocked a passage, where goods vanished, whose name is being called, and why.
I watch the city breathe, but someone decides who gets the fuller breath today, and who is kept waiting. Next, I follow the switch that turned allowed into forbidden, and I trace the hand that flips it without being seen.
By noon, Dublin no longer walks. It jostles. Time doesn't pass here. It gets taken, coin by coin, step by step, from bodies. Wheels bite stone, carts snag, animals strain at hands. One small stall, one shout. Suddenly every inch becomes danger for someone. In these hours, the city shows its character, whom it lets through first, and whom it presses flat to the wall to keep moving. The city rebuilds the way it lives, fast, at the edge. Stone carries more weight than promises, and it lands where it must. Up on scaffolds, they save time like money. Hurry looks like progress, but it smells like injury waiting for a single slip. What they call improvement can mean this. One person risks a body today so the street looks finer tomorrow for others. And if something falls, it's not only stone. A day collapses, wages vanish, chances break. Then the rules arrive to settle it.
This is where the city turns a moment into an offense. Here they decide who is permitted to live properly and who is not. For some, it's just a building. For others, it's the end of a week. Sometimes the end of a name they work to keep clean. You don't always need a crime. Sometimes it's enough to be in the wrong place at the wrong minute with the wrong paper.
It starts as a trifle. A wheel skids, the cart turns sideways, and the street stops functioning like a body with a blocked vein. Goods hit the stone. Some help, some snatch. Someone screams thief, and a word like that spreads faster than truth ever can. The crowd decides quicker than it understands. Eyes don't search for what's true. They search for what's possible, right now. The watch steps in as a lever, not a judge. They need the flow restored, so someone must yield, or be made the guilty one.
When everybody is rushing, the easiest solution is to stop one person and call that order.
And then you see it. The guilty is the one pointed at. The hand that tipped the cart is already swallowed by the crowd.
Wait, this sack carries a mark, not a random stain. This is how someone tags what's theirs, so others know to step back. And it repeats, here and there, like a thread guiding goods through the city. One route, one pattern, one set of hands.
In 1838, these tiny marks mean power, access. Who has a broker? Who has a back door? Who moves goods without questions? When the city goes quiet about small things, it isn't shame, it's protection. Name the thread, and someone may demand payment. When pressure rises, People seek not explanations but footing. A candle here can matter more than a coin when days feel unsafe. Rituals aren't decoration. They're instructions for living through a day when chance is everywhere. Work, sickness, hunger, and noise. Its signs and tokens become a language of fear. Not because people are foolish, but because risk stands close, daily, and unnamed. Here you see the deeper divide. Not only money, but who can afford calm, and who must bargain for it, hour by hour.
What are people afraid to say out loud here? Because once it's said, it can be used against them?
That tomorrow there's nothing to pay. Not for comfort, for a place, for bread, for quiet so the children can sleep.
What changes so quickly you can't keep up? So you're always one step behind, even when you run?
Prices and rules. Today you can stand here, tomorrow it's too many people, too much noise, not your place anymore. I know the day will go wrong when it turns quiet downstairs. Quiet means someone has already decided for us, before we move.
We can see the chain now. Work, pressure, crowd, the mark. We're missing one thing. The name of the hand holding the thread. Next we go where the thread tightens into a knot.
When darkness falls, Dublin 1838 doesn't sleep. It switches rules, different speed, different routes, different risks, different debts. Steps shorten, voices drop. What looked ordinary by day turns into a signal at night. Who belongs, who hesitates, who gets watched. Now you can see what daylight blurs, who leads the movement and who only follows, pushed along by need and quiet instruction.
By dusk, the city splits into routes, home, or a place to bargain. This isn't romance. It's navigation, getting through intact. I'm after the last key, the place this thread knots.
Survival is made of small decisions. How much coal for night, how much food for morning, how much light you can afford at all. They mend because new is luxury. Clothes keep warmth, but also standing. In this city, those can be the same thin shield. Coins are hidden not from thieves, but from the unpredictable day. The week that can break a household with one lost shift. And even if you do everything right, one thing stays beyond you. Whether tomorrow you're admitted into a loud or shut out. The climax looks ordinary. A night check, a stop, a few hard words. For order. Nothing heroic, nothing loud, yet everyone listens. But the city reacts too fast. Some step aside without protest. Others tense at once, like they already know who may pass unharmed.
There it is again. Same mark, on purpose. It lives between homes and markets, right here.
That's the city under pressure. A network forms. One person gets a path, another gets delay, another gets debt that never rests. What seemed like chaos, queues, quarrels, random stops, has shape. Not a grand conspiracy, a practical system of permission. To see it whole, you need one image, something that freezes Dublin mid-breath and shows where the flow is pinched.
Here's the knot. The mark shows up right here.
Let's revive this scene. Don't watch the beauty, watch the movement. Where it streams, where it slows, where it gets turned back. The city speaks sideways, through stories, songs, jokes. It's how people endure what they can't command, and still stand upright. Two Dublins stand together. One laughs loud, one laughs low. Both pretend this is normal, because pretending is protection.
I just heard this. He didn't break it. He didn't pay. So it's not crime. It's access. Who sells allowed?